You travel halfway across the world, and the aesthetic is just identical.
Exactly identical. You've got those white rectangular subway tiles on the wall.
Oh, for sure. And the massive, heavy reclaimed wood table.
Yes. And hanging from the ceiling, doing practically nothing to actually light the room, are those exposed Edison bulbs.
Right, the classic Edison bulbs. It's like you never left home.
It's eerie. Or, think about the internet. Have you noticed how everyone online suddenly seems to be talking in the exact same weird coded language?
Yeah, substituting bizarre words for totally normal ones.
Just to avoid getting flagged by some moderation bot? Well, welcome to this deep dive where our mission today is to figure out exactly why the world is starting to look, sound, and feel so incredibly identical.
We are unpacking a pretty massive stack of research today, anchored by Kylechayka's book, Filterworld, How Algorithms Flattened Culture.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core idea we are exploring today is that we all walk around with this deep-seated belief that we are independent agents. You think you are curating your own unique life, right?
Right. You think you're discovering your own favorite music, picking out your own clothes.
But the reality presented in these sources suggests something entirely different. These invisible digital equations are secretly dictating your tastes.
They're making our entire physical and digital world homogeneous. Essentially, you're trapped in a loop of your own data.
Which is a terrifying thought.
It is. But to understand how these algorithms exert that kind of control over our daily decisions, we have to kind of dismantle the illusion they project.
Right, because modern tech platforms want you to think their algorithms are these hyper-intelligent, objective, almost omniscient machines.
Exactly. They present them as being completely free of human bias. They want you to believe you're interacting with pure, unadulterated artificial intelligence.
But it's an illusion, and the best way to understand the reality of your smartphone feed is to look at one of the greatest technological magic tricks in history, the mechanical Turk.
Oh, this story is amazing.
It's so good. So picture this. It's 1769. A civil servant in the Habsburg Empire, this guy named Johann Wolfgang Ritter von Kempelen, decides to build a gift to impress the Empress Maria Theresa.
A very ambitious gift.
Very. He wheels out this large wooden cabinet about 4 feet wide, and the doors open to reveal this incredibly complex maze of clockwork gears, belts, cogs.
It's looking like a supercomputer of the 18th century.
Basically, yeah.
Yep.
And sitting on top of the cabinet is a humanoid automaton dressed in a robe and turban. It's got this dramatic mustache, and it's leaning over a chessboard.
Then the crazy part is, this machine didn't just sit there as a static piece of art. It actually played chess against human challengers.
And it routinely destroyed them. It traveled the world for decades. In 1783, it beat Benjamin Franklin in Paris.
Wow.
In 1809, it beat Napoleon Bonaparte.
Wait, it beat Napoleon.
It did. The mechanical arm would literally, physically grasp the pieces and move them. It supposedly even made facial expressions if an opponent tried to cheat.
I mean, you can imagine crowds across Europe and America being just terrified and amazed by this artificial intelligence.
Oh, completely. But the twist is the machine was completely fake.
Right. The gears inside the cabinet were entirely for show. They didn't calculate a single thing.
So how did it work?
Von Kempelen had actually hired a short-statured human chess expert to hide inside the dark cabinet.
That is just wild.
The ingenuity of the deception is actually brilliant, though. The human pilot obviously couldn't see the board directly through the wood, so there were magnets attached to the bottom of the chess pieces.
Oh, clever.
Yeah, as the pieces moved on top of the board, the magnets moved underneath, allowing the pilot to track the game. He used levers and strings to physically puppet the automaton's arm.
And didn't he have a candle in there?
He did. He had a little candle lamp inside to see what he was doing, and the smoke from the candle was cleverly vented out of hidden holes in the back of the cabinet.
So no one could detect it. And if an audience member demanded to look inside, the pilot had a sliding seat. He would zip back and forth, hiding behind false panels while different doors were opened.
It is the ultimate magic trick. But as a metaphor, the mechanical Turk is perfectly applicable to today's technology.
Because it represents the human hand lurking behind the facade of advanced tech.
Exactly. We scroll through a social media feed and assume some complex, objective intelligence knows exactly what we want to see. But an algorithm is not magic. It is simply an equation.
Right. It's a set of rules that produces a desired result.
And those rules were written by humans, with human business goals and human biases.
So what does this all mean for the algorithms in our phones? because the word itself is incredibly old, which kind of proves it isn't some modern digital wizardry.
Yeah, the sources point out it comes from Muhammad ibn Musa al-Khwarizmi, a 9th century Persian scholar.
Working at the Grand Library of Baghdad, right?
Yes, he wrote foundational books on solving equations. When his work was translated into Latin in the 12th century, his name became Algorithmic.
Which is just so cool. His work on balancing equations also gave us the word algebra.
So algorithms have been with us for millennia as basic human problem-solving tools.
I am gonna push back a little on the sinister framing of all this, though. Like, if an algorithm is just an equation, why are we talking about it like it's this dystopian force?
That's a fair question.
I mean, the Babylonians used algorithms on clay tablets back in 1600 BCE to calculate the volume of earth they needed to dig out for cisterns. It's a tool. It's like an ancient recipe. Take this input, follow these steps, get this output.
Right, that's just basic math. But what's fascinating here is how that basic math made the leap from measuring dirt to measuring and molding human culture.
Okay, yeah, how did that happen?
For that leap, we have to look to Ada Lovelace in 1843.
Oh, she's a legend.
She really is. She was working with Charles Babbage's designs for the analytical engine, which was essentially the first concept of a computer.
She is widely considered the first computer programmer, right?
Yes, but her true genius was a massive conceptual leap regarding what algorithms could actually process. She realized that these repeating mechanical processes didn't just have to apply to numbers.
But how did she make that connection to culture?
She looked at music. Lovelace understood that musical harmony is ultimately based on mathematical ratios and patterns.
Oh, I see. So notes and pitches can be represented by variables.
Exactly. She specifically predicted that if you could break down the fundamental rules of harmony into data, a machine could use algorithms to compose complex, scientific pieces of music.
In 1843, she saw that automation was going to move beyond pure arithmetic and into the realm of human expression.
She saw the whole future.
But that raises a huge question. If algorithms are just mathematical tools and people understood their cultural potential in the 1800s, how did they become the invisible rulers of our daily lives?
Right, how do we get here?
We went from using them as calculators to, surrendering our entire worldview to them.
The tipping point was sheer human limitation. As our societies and technologies grew, the raw amount of data we produced vastly exceeded the capacity of the human brain to sort through it.
We just generated way too much information.
Yeah, and we desperately needed automated filters to make sense of the noise.
There is this visually striking historical example in the sources of this desire to use data to manage chaos. It's Project Cybersyn.
Oh, the Chile project.
Yes, it's 1971 in Santiago, Chile. The government attempts to build a room to manage the country's entire economy using real-time data.
And the design of this room is incredible.
It's straight out of a 1970s sci-fi movie. It's a hexagonal room with wood-paneled walls covered in backlit displays showing data on raw materials and labor rates.
Very retro-futuristic.
And in the center, arranged in a circle, are 7 sleek, white, fiberglass captain's chairs.
Like Star Trek.
Literally. Each chair has a control panel built into the armrest, and because it was the 70s, a built-in ashtray and a cup holder for your whiskey.
It is the ultimate image of modernist utopianism. The idea was that leaders could sit in this room, review the algorithms that oversaw the nation, and make perfect, rational decisions.
But it didn't really work, did it?
No, just like the Mechanical Turk, Project Cybersyn was largely an illusion, a design fiction. The computing power simply wasn't there yet.
Right. It ran on a single mainframe computer fed by a network of telex machines.
Exactly. The data on the screens was mostly updated by hand.
When you think about the hubris of a 1970s government believing they could quantify and control an entire human economy with a few telex machines, it's wild.
Especially when you contrast it with the terrifying computing power we have in our pockets today.
But the dream was always there. The dream that raw data could perfectly guide human action. And we really needed that dream to become a reality by the 1990s because the internet exploded.
Suddenly, everyone was drowning in emails, websites, and digital files. The manual sorting mechanisms of the past, human editors, curators, DJs, librarians, they just couldn't keep up with the volume of the early internet.
So computer scientists had to build the first real digital filters.
Right. In 1992, engineers at Xerox PAYR created a system called Tapestry to handle the flood of incoming corporate emails.
And rather than just filtering by keywords, it used collaborative filtering, right?
Yes. It looked at how other humans reacted to an email to determine its importance. If your colleague opened a document and annotated it as interesting, the filter would bump it up your priority list.
That makes a lot of sense. And a few years later, in 1995, MIT developed a similar system called Ringo for music.
Oh, Ringo was a huge step.
You would rate a bunch of artists, and the system would build a mathematical profile of your tastes. Then it would look at thousands of other users, find the people whose tastes statistically correlated with yours, and recommend music that they liked but you hadn't heard yet.
Which sounds great.
It does. It's just a scaled-up digital version of asking a friend with really good taste for a record recommendation. It feels incredibly innocent and helpful.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, the mechanism was helpful, but the goal shifted drastically. Collaborative filtering was so effective at predicting what people wanted that corporations realized it was the ultimate monetization tool.
Of course, money.
Consider the difference between how Google and Amazon approached this. In the late 90s, Google's PageRank algorithm sorted websites based on how many other sites linked to them.
So it treated links as citations, basically a massive automated collaborative filter for relevance.
Right. Their initial goal was organizing existing information.
Yeah.
But Amazon took collaborative filtering and used it to create new behavior.
Right. In 1998, they started using it to suggest complementary products.
Exactly. You put a baby bottle in your cart, and the algorithm relies on the purchase clusters of millions of other users to say, hey, people who bought this also bought this specific rattle.
Oh, wow. So the algorithm transitioned from being a librarian helping you find a book to being a highly persuasive salesman, subtly urging you to consume more.
And once the tech industry realized these filtering algorithms drove unprecedented profits by keeping people clicking and buying, they applied those commercial sales engines to something far more intimate.
Our personal relationships.
Recommending a baby rattle is one thing. Quantifying our human social lives is a completely different cultural shift.
Which leads directly to the social media takeover. We know the early days of social media were essentially chronological lists.
Right, you logged on and you saw a raw, unfiltered feed of whatever your friends posted in the exact order they posted it.
But as those networks grew to millions and then billions of users, the volume of posts became unmanageable. The chronological feed had to die.
And algorithmic sorting took over to dictate what appeared at the top of your screen. To understand how our modern culture got flattened, you have to understand the specific mechanics of how a system like Facebook's early sorting algorithm, EdgeRank, actually evaluated human interaction.
I picture it kind of like a terrifyingly observant nightclub bouncer.
Okay, I like this.
You walk into this club, and the bouncer tracks exactly how long you stare at a certain person across the room. He tracks what kind of drinks you buy and who you talk to. And then, without you noticing, he dynamically rearranges the entire layout of the room, moving the people you stare at closer to you, and physically hiding the people you ignore, all to ensure you never leave the club.
That is a highly accurate analogy. EdgeRank relied on specific variables to dynamically rearrange that room. The first was the affinity score.
Okay, what's that?
This measured the strength of your connection to the person posting. If you constantly commented on your sister's photos, your affinity score with her was mathematically high, so her posts got pushed to the top.
Makes sense.
Second was edge weight. The algorithm inherently valued certain types of content over others. A photo upload might be weighted heavier than a plain text status update because data showed photos kept people in the club longer.
Ah, got it.
Third was time decay, which prioritized newer posts over older ones to maintain a sense of urgency.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. The sociology of this. These rules weren't just passively organizing content. They actively rewired human behavior.
They absolutely did.
The sources contain this hilarious but deeply depressing anecdote about how journalists had to game the Facebook algorithm just to get their investigative articles seen.
Oh, the wedding announcement trick.
Yes. Because the algorithm heavily weighted personal milestones and specifically looked for the word congratulations in the comments to calculate edge weight, writers would post a fake wedding announcement.
Unbelievable.
They would post a picture of a random couple, get their colleagues to comment congratulations to artificially inflate the engagement signal, and then put the actual link to their journalism article in the comments.
They had to trip the machine just to do their jobs. It highlights a profound psychological shift. We stopped using the machine to express ourselves, and we started expressing ourselves to please the machine.
Wow, yeah. We altered our output to match its preferred inputs.
And we see this dominating the internet today with the rise of Algospeak.
Oh, the TikTok vocabulary.
Exactly.
People saying unalive instead of kill, Or using the phrase spicy eggplant just to evade automated moderation and demotion.
We are literally modifying human language to fit the preferences of a corporate equation.
The machine isn't serving us. We are adapting our behavior to serve the machine.
And when an entire global population begins adapting its language, its behavior, its art, and its physical spaces to satisfy a handful of secret corporate equations, the inevitable result is Filterworld.
A homogeneous, flattened culture. Which brings us back to the coffee shop from the beginning of our deep dive.
The international harmonization of tastes.
Apps like Instagram and Yelp reward a very specific visual aesthetic with high engagement and high ratings. Business owners in Berlin, LA, and Kyoto adopt the exact same subway tiles and Edison bulbs because they have to game the algorithm to survive.
The physical world is redecorating itself to look better to digital software.
It's so dystopian. The sources actually outline a whole list of these cultural byproducts, these trophies of flatness that dominate Filterworld across different mediums. I want to walk through these because they are everywhere.
Let's do it.
In music, you have stream bait. It's this muted, mid-tempo, melancholy pop music that is specifically engineered to be completely unobtrusive background noise on a Spotify-focused playlist.
Visually, you have the Instagram face. It's an aesthetic often achieved through cosmetic procedures or heavy filtering that blends facial features into a single, cartoonish, ambiguously ethnic standard.
Because that historically performs well in an algorithmic feed.
Exactly.
And audibly, you have the TikTok voice. You know exactly what I mean. It's that rushed, monotone, deadpan drawl that every single influencer uses for their voiceovers.
Right, because the algorithm favors rapid audio retention.
And commercially, you have the ubiquitous Amazon coat.
Oh, I remember this.
A lumpy olive green puffer jacket that suddenly appeared on thousands of people a few winters ago simply because the Amazon Marketplace algorithm decided to relentlessly recommend it to Prime members, spawning dozens of cheap replicas.
It was everywhere.
When I look at Streambait Pop and the TikTok voice, and I admit I might actually own that Amazon coat, the through line feels like a total lack of friction.
Yes, friction is the enemy of the feed.
It's almost like the algorithm is allergic to anything weird, avant-garde, or challenging. It's selecting for absolute blandness.
You've hit on the exact mechanism. The algorithm dictates success by promoting what gets immediate engagement. And the easiest way to get immediate engagement from millions of disparate people simultaneously is to be accessible, replicable, and ambient.
The literal definition of the lowest common denominator.
Exactly. Friction, anything confusing, challenging, or deeply provocative stops a user from scrolling. It breaks the trance. So the algorithm filters out the friction. The culture that thrives in Filterworld is culture that blankets and soothes you. It asks absolutely nothing of you.
But the psychological result of a frictionless culture is a state of passivity and numbness.
Right, because when you don't have to work to discover art, you don't form deep attachments to it.
We lose ambiguity and we lose deep meaning. There's a metaphor in the sources that perfectly captures this loss. It's from a 1980 Japanese novel by Yasuo Tanaka called Somehow Crystal.
Such a great metaphor.
The main character is waking up and she turns on her radio by pressing a preset button. The author includes a footnote lamenting that because of the preset button, a little bit of the maniac fun of manual tuning has been lost.
The loss of that maniac fun is the defining tragedy of algorithmic culture.
Think about what it actually means to turn a physical radio dial. You get static, you endure things you dislike.
You hear two stations overlapping.
Yes, you catch a weird snippet of a broadcast you'd never normally listen to, and you have to work through the noise until you finally dial in the frequency of something you love.
The preset button removes the static, but it completely removes the surprise.
Algorithmic feeds are just an endless series of digital preset buttons. Everything is predetermined for you based on a pattern of your previous behavior.
So when was the last time you manually tuned through the static of culture?
Right. When was the last time you sought something out the hard way, enduring the friction, rather than just clicking the next thing the algorithm queued up for you?
It is a crucial question to ask yourself, because this goes far beyond an abstract critique of pop music or coffee shop decor. This is about the fundamental mechanics of how you experience your daily life.
Which brings us to why this deep dive matters to you. Because right now, sitting in your pocket, your phone is offering you a highly curated, sanitized menu of the world.
As you scroll, it feels like you are being presented with an infinite buffet of videos, articles, and ideas.
But those options have been pre-selected. They've been vetted and ordered by a digital mechanical Turk, an equation engineered by a tech monopoly designed for one primary purpose: to capture your attention and sell it.
You aren't exploring the world. You are exploring a walled garden built to keep you comfortable, frictionless, and clicking.
Which leads to a final provocative thought regarding the future.
We've established that these algorithms work by analyzing your past data. They look at what you clicked yesterday, and they rely on the historical purchasing and viewing behavior of millions of people who look statistically similar to you on a spreadsheet.
They strictly use the past to predict the present.
But if you only ever consume what the algorithm thinks the past you wants to see, what happens to your human capacity to drastically change?
If you are constantly fed a mathematically perfect reflection of who you already were, how do you evolve?
Personal growth requires stumbling into the unknown. True evolution requires encountering ideas that challenge your worldview, confuse you, or even deeply upset you at first.
If the algorithmic filter removes all that vital friction and only feeds you the comfortable, the familiar, and the statistically probable, how will you ever stumble upon the completely unexpected ideas needed to become the future you?
Will you let the machine keep pushing the presets? Or are you going to start manually tuning the dial?